Hey, what's up guys? How you doing? It's me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. On this video, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to implement the calibrations that I have written down from AV forums. These are the calibrations. They're recommended by AV forums, and there's going to be two different types of calibrations I'm going to use on this B6P 55-inch OLED TV by LG. The first one's going to be the dark room, like right now at night, the dark room calibrations. And then the second one's going to be a brighter room calibration, and then we're going to do an HDR calibration. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's start with the Planet Earth 2 right here with this eagle still. Let's start with bright room calibrations. Just to let you know, I do have HDR on. Let me just, it took me a while to figure that out, but I do have HDR on, and it's right here. I'll show it to you in a minute. Let me go to the general right here, and let me go down here really quick. My HD, my deep color, it's on, just so that you guys know. Hold on. Let me go back. You see, they're all on. All of these are on. All four are on. So let's get out of there. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's start this. Let me first adjust my low light a little bit here. Okay, so let's continue. The first thing we're going to do is the dark room calibrations. Alright, so let's go ahead. Let's click on the settings. Let's go ahead to the picture mode settings. Actually, let's do the HDR mode, because we are in the HDR mode. So let's do the HDR mode. These are the recommendation for the HDR. Then I'll do the non-HDR mode. I'll do it on the cable. I will do a non-HDR mode. But this is HDR, so we'll have to do an HDR mode. Okay, let's keep it there. Alright, so they're recommending HDR Standard. So let me click on it. They recommend for me to go to the HDR Standard. Now there's HDR Game, but I haven't downloaded HDR Game firmware. I have to download that as well. But let's first start with the HDR Standard. Remember, I'm using the this here, it's written down. I have the whole thing written down. I'm using this from AV forums. They're highly recommended for home theater and televisions and tech. So let's go ahead and let's use the HDR Standard. Alright, this is the HDR Standard. That's what they're recommending. Okay. So we're going to go back. They're recommending the OLED light to be 100. Contrast 100. Brightness 50. Sharpness 10. And color 55. Okay, so everything's pretty much what they recommended here. So let's look at it a little bit. Let's go through a couple of stills, and let's see how this looks on the LG B6P. Remember, I'm testing the HDR Standard. Here, this is another great example of HDR Standard. Here's the thing, HDR Standard seems to be good for when you're watching it at night, but I feel that for Planet Earth 2, to me personally, I like HDR Bright. So let me go to the, because remember, OLED doesn't have that high peak brightness. It does have deep black levels, but it doesn't have that high peak brightness as opposed to the Samsung KS8000. Alright, so let me go ahead and let me go to the settings here. Let me go to the picture mode. Let's use the HDR Bright, and let's see the difference. Oh yeah, I see a much better difference with the HDR Bright. It looks more cleaner, more vivid. Let's show another still. Remember guys, I cannot show you moving picture from planet Earth 2 because BBC will just block this video and you won't be able to see it. Let's go to another still. Okay, this one here in particular really looks good. The reason I chosen this still right here, because HDR Bright really gives you that detail that you want to see here. Let's go and switch to HDR Standard. I don't know, HDR Standard, it's too dimmed and it's too yellow. There's too much sepia to it and I don't like it. HDR Bright seems to have that much more vivid peak brightness level that you need for the HDR, and much more cleaner, balanced temperature color. I don't like it to be too yellow, I don't like it to be too blue. I like it to be balanced in the middle. So for Planet Earth 2, I highly recommend that you guys use HDR Bright. Let's go to another frame here. And here's another great example of the HDR on the OLED. These deep black levels right here, especially right here. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but the deep black levels right here are truly phenomenal. I wish maybe I should bring my camera a little bit closer so you guys can see it. Hopefully this is good. There we go. The deep black levels here are truly remarkable, especially right here. Let's go to a next frame as well. You see, when I go to the standard, everything becomes more dimmed, and I don't like that. I like the HDR Bright. I highly recommend HDR Bright. I do not know why. This is why sometimes I don't follow these so-called professional calibrators. Your eyes are your best calibrations, because your eyes will detect what's right and what's not. That's just my opinion. To me, HDR Bright is the perfect solution for Planet Earth 2. Let's go to another still. And here's another great example of the HDR Bright and just how much detail you get with the HDR Bright. Look at all this detail right here. Here's what happens if I go to the standard. Just look how much I'm gonna lose right here. I don't like it. I just don't like the standard. I like the HDR Bright better because you do want a little bit of that peak brightness. You guys can see it, but when you turn on the HDR Standard, you get too much that yellow color. I hate the damn yellow. I like the balanced color. So let's keep it at the Bright. And Bright looks more natural. It looks exactly the way I've seen it on the floor when I went to the Magnolia Best Buy. This is exactly what I was seeing. Let's go